most of you. I'm sure people have come up with way better ideas than this. And this is just a very small example on which computer scientists could build so easily. And I'm sure that they've come up with way better strategies. But this is more of a simplified concept to help see how a human, for example, could develop a game that would be of interest to humans and watch them play against AI. So what would you do? Firstly, if you can imagine playing chess, but every time you go to move a piece, you can't move that piece until you get permission. Now, how do you get permission? You get permission by a sub-game opening up. The sub-game is a whole new game of chess where you have your own AI and the other person has their AI, and they fight each other. Now, when they fight each other, if your AI wins that game, then you're allowed to make the move in the actual game. So in the meta game, right? So you make the move, but if your AI loses the sub game, then you can't make that move. So all of a sudden, when you try to anticipate what all of the moves are, you got to factor in probability, because the other person might not be allowed to make that move. So then there's, if you want to anticipate future moves, you've got to anticipate all of the possibilities that the future moves can be made. And this moves up by a power factor. In fact, assuming that there's a yes or no permission, then it moves up by a squared. I'm pretty sure that, like for example, let's say you anticipate 2 moves ahead, and each one of those moves can either be allowed to be made by the sub AI winning the sub game or not. And that means that there's now 2 possibilities for each future anticipated move. So you're getting a multiplication or to a power of 2. Anyway, so in that particular case, an AI versus a human at the top level game, the AI would still win easily, because it would know that even if the possibility of the human making moves against it are not 100%, it can still work out all of the possible scenarios. So what you do is you then have a sub game. So what that means is that when you try to move, let's go back, you try to move the pawn piece, but before you move the pawn piece, the sub AI has to win its game. But then the sub AI can't move, g'day, Braden, the sub AI can't move in its game until a sub AI, good, thank you Braden, how are you, wins its game. So what does that mean? That means that you've got a bottom level game at level 0. In level 0, you've got the sub AI has to win chess. If it wins chess, then the next level AI is allowed to make its move. And then that happens all the way through. So every move that an AI makes in the sub game has to wait for the sub game to play out a whole game, right? This is probably really complicated. You love chess, there you go. So that means that every move in the sub game, you have to wait for the sub game to be played out. But then in the top level game, you've got to wait for every move to be played out in the sub game. So that means that every move in the sub game has itself a whole game of chess. So now you've got a multiplication of millions and millions and millions per move, right, of the sub game. So then you have to wait at the top level game to figure out if the sub level game has won. But then that means that the sub level has to have won a millions amount of times, so that each move can be made in the sub game. All right, I might have to draw this out. I think I'll do this video again and maybe draw it out. Now what happens is that yes, AI could still win. But the thing is that once you introduce another sub game and another sub game and another sub game, you'll end up to the point where AI runs out of compute. So it can't calculate what the probability is that you're going to be permitted to make a certain move at your level, because it requires all of the other sub games to play out in its favor. And it can't calculate that. Now, if there's enough of them, then it can't calculate. But imagine if you as the human know what the probability will be for every single move that's played out. Then you'll know if the AI, when it tries to move against you, will be allowed to make those moves or not. But AI doesn't have access to it. So if that's the case, then all of a sudden, you as a human already know all the potential moves AI can make and all the moves it can't make. And the AI doesn't know, because the AI has to rely on every single sub game to play out in its favor, so it's allowed to make a move. And that would give the human an edge in that particular scenario. But of course, as AI gets smarter and smarter and smarter, you'd have to dramatically increase the level of sub-games all the way down. You beat your friends at school at chess, that's awesome, good on you. Anyway, so that's a very complicated version, but to come back and explain it, right, as I was saying, oh, thank you. You introduce much more complexity to the point that there's so much computer power involved that the AI can't make the calculation, but you have access to the answers, and that way you can play against it at the top level game. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you because my train's here, and I'll talk to you guys later. Don't forget to take life one metaphorical smack at a time. Cheers.